Hi students, I already told in class I will take some topics through a video. So we will start with the second unit. The starting title is knowledge based agent in artificial intelligence, or I can say it as logic based agent. So what is actually knowledge based agent is, we have already discussed in class, in the introduction class, like for an agent, he needs knowledge from the outside environment, or we can say it as the real world, to take decisions and to act efficiently. So we have two components, two main parts in this knowledge based agent. One is knowledge base and inference system. What actually this knowledge based agent should follow, some certain points are there. The first is, an agent should be able to represent states, action, etc. And state in the sense, what is the initial state, what is the goal state, and actions are nothing but the operators. And second point, an agent should be able to incorporate new percepts, and an agent can update the internal representation of the world, and it can reduce the internal representation of the world, and an agent can reduce appropriate actions. So this point you make it for the 2 marks, and this is the diagram of the knowledge based agent. You have inference engine and knowledge base, the input which it is getting from the environment, and the inference engine will act accordingly, which apply some logical rules, and it will pass it to the knowledge base. And for updating the knowledge base, it will learn from outside. Here is the example of one problem in artificial intelligence, that is wumpus world problem. I will explain you what is happening in this problem. It's actually a mark it as for the big question, either it is in 13 mark or 14 mark. It's a easy one. I will explain you step by step. See, actually, this wumpus world is a simple world example to illustrate the worth of a knowledge-based agent and to represent knowledge representation. So it was inspired by from a video game called Hunt the Wumpus by the author name is Grigory Yob in 1973. What is in this wumpus world is, you have to assume a cave which has 4x4 rooms connected with passageways. So here in the downstairs we can see the diagram. So there are total 16 rooms are there, which are interconnected with each other, and we have one agent will be there, and we can name it as a knowledge based agent who will go forward in this world. So the cave has a room with a beast named called wumpus. Wumpus is nothing but a beast who eats anyone who enters the room. So I am just continuing with the next slide. The wumpus can be shot by the agent, but the agent has a single arrow. So in the wumpus world, there are some pits, rooms which are bottomless, and if agent falls in pits, then he will be stuck there forever. You can see in the diagram the image which is shown here in the blue color, it's pit. So the last under the last column, the last row, the first man is called agent, and you can see the wumpus here. And the wumpus can be shot by the agent, but the agent has a single arrow. So this point is okay. The exciting thing with this cave is that in one room there is a possibility of finding a heap of gold. So if you see in the diagram, you can see the gold here. So this is what you are having in this image. You have a wumpus, you have a pit, and you have an agent, you have gold here. So what is actually the condition here is, the agent, what he has to do is, he needs to find the gold and climb out the cave without falling into pits or eaten by the wumpus. That is the condition given, and the agent will be rewarded if he comes out with gold, and he will get a penalty if eaten by wumpus or falls in the pit. So without eaten by wumpus or without falling in the pit, he has to collect the gold, and he needs to come out of the cave. So this is actually the representation of the diagram. So what are all the components we have, we can see in the slide number 76. The rooms adjacent to the wumpus room are smelly. So how the agent can detect that in this room wumpus is here, wumpus is there, means he can smell, he can smell, or we can say it as a stench. A smell will be there, so he can identify there that in that room the wumpus will be there. So the smell means here we need to use the perception. As I already discussed in the class, the agent can act, or how he can perceive from outside the world is through senses. So that how he can sense. The room adjacent to pits has a breeze. As a human being, the agent can also have the sensing power. So if the agent reaches near to the pit, then he will perceive the breeze, so he can identify that the next room will be a pit, and there will be a glitter in the room, so he can sense the glitter, like sense in the sense he can see glittering in the room if and only if the room has gold. So these are all the three conditions. If he sends like it's a stench, so in the next room there will be a wumpus. If he sends like a breeze, so the next room will be the pit. If he saw any glittering thing, so that he can identify it's a gold. And the wumpus can killed by the agent if the agent is facing to it, and wumpus will emit a horrible scream which can be heard anywhere in the cave. So here comes the piece description of wumpus world. We have already saw the piece representation in class: performance, actuator, sensors, and environment. So these are all the four things we have in the piece representation. So what is actually piece performance measure is 1000 reward points will be given to the agent if he comes out of the cave with the gold, and minus 1000 for penalty if he eaten by the wumpus or falling into the pit, and minus 1 for each action, and minus 10 for using an arrow. So if the game will be getting end if either agent dies or came out of the curve. So what is here is environment. We saw performance measure, and the next is in piece we have environment. Environment is nothing but you have a room, 4x4 grid of rooms. So the agent will be initially in room square. If you see in this, the first agent is standing, no, that is 1,1 facing toward the right. So location of wumpus and gold are chosen randomly except the first square. So except in the first square, that is 1,1, there can be wumpus or gold anywhere in that room. So each square of the cave can be a pit with probability 0.2 except the first square. And next comes the actuators. What are all the actuators you can see? Actuators are nothing but what are all the operation he is going to perform. Either he can turn left, turn right, move forward, grab, release, and shoot. These are all the operations which the agent is going to perform. And the important thing is the sensors. So the agent will perceive the stench if he is in the room adjacent to the wumpus. So I already told, like, if he sends the stench, so he can identify that the wumpus is in the next room. And if the agent is sensing any breeze, so the next room will be a pit. And if he perceives it, any glittering thing is there, so the next room will be the gold. The agent will perceive the bump if he walks into a wall. When the wumpus is shot, it emits a horrible scream which can be perceived anywhere in the cave. So sensors are nothing but the perception. And here comes the wumpus world, how we can explore the wumpus world. So the first step of the agent is, initially the agent is in the first room. I already told he is standing in 1,1, and we already know that this room is safe for the agent. So to represent on the below that room is safe, we will add symbol OK. So they are just describing as OK in that first room. Symbol A is used to represent agent, and symbol B is for breeze, G for glitter, V for visitor room, P for pit, and W for wumpus. So these are all the representations for given for each characters, for agent, for wumpus, for gold, for pit, and for the room also. Now the first step is, so at room, agent does not feel any breeze or any stench, which means the adjacent squares are also okay. So through sensors, the agent can sense. So in 1,2 and 2,1, there is nothing, there is no wumpus or there is no pit. So the next room, the above and the right turn is okay. Now the second step is, now agent needs to move forward. So it will either he can move to 1,2 or he can move to 2,1. So let's suppose agent moves to the room 2,1. We can get the option. At this room, agent perceives some breeze. Means what? There is the next room will be the pit. So the pit can be either in 3,1 or 2,2. So we will add symbol P to say that this is the pit room. Okay. The next step is, now the agent will stop and think and will not make any move. The agent will go back to the room 1,1 and he will move to the room 1,2, because initially we saw 1,2 and 2,1 are okay. So now he is visiting to 1,2. And we are just marking it as 2,1 as visited, so that the agent will not get confused like where to move. 2,1 is already visited, and we found that 3,1 and 2,2 are pits. So he is backtracking to 1,1, and again he is having one more option called 1,2. Now the third step is, at the third step, now the agent will move to the room 1,2, which is okay. In the room 1,2, agent perceives a stench. Means what? There is a wumpus nearby. Either the wumpus can be in but wumpus cannot be in the room 1,1 as by rules of the game, and also not in 2,2, because agent had not detected any stench when he was at 2,1. So therefore agent infers that wumpus is in the room 1,3. And in current state there is no breeze, which means in 2,2 there is no pit and no wumpus, so it is safe, and we will mark it as okay, and the agent will move further in 2,2. So this problem will proceed like anything, and at last how the agent is coming out of this cave by gathering the gold and without eaten by the wumpus or fallen into the pit. So it's actually you can mark it as 13 mark. So in or option, if you get anything, it is the better choice to choose this question. And in tomorrow's class I will start with this informed search. So this knowledge based agent is second unit, and informed search is the pending thing in the first unit. We have already saw that uninformed search, DFS and BFS, and we saw this hill climb algorithm also. In the next class, in tomorrow's class, I will teach you A star search algorithm, which is also the important 14 mark question. Okay, so this is what this question is. This is the second unit. This is the starting of the second unit, and this is the first problem which will come for sure for exam. Okay, thank you.